Robert Hanson is one of the few openly gay CEOs in the world. He was recently featured in Out Magazine's The Power List for 2013. Previously the global brand president for Levi Strauss, Robert Hanson is now the Chief Executive Officer of American Eagle Outfitters.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to see you. You look amazing. It's good to be here with you today. I wanted to thank Mike for the kind introduction. I really feel very lucky to benefit from all the work that you've done on not only equality in general, but marriage equality specifically. So thank you for recognizing that I am a newlywed. My husband, Michael, wanted to be here today. He couldn't be. He's a very patient man. And he likes to refer to our marriage as a shotgun wedding 22 years in reverse. I also want to thank Celise and the team at Out and Equal for the incredible work that they do and for asking me to speak to you today. I'm really honored to be here among this great group of people who are really dedicated to bringing positive change in the world through commerce. Before I begin, though, I actually feel it's important for me to acknowledge that personally, I believe the majority of you have probably faced more challenging circumstances than I've faced as a gay man. I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, a community that obviously embraces diversity, with an incredibly loving and supportive family. I've heard stories from many of you to the alternative of that. In fact, I'll tell you, when I first told my mother that I was gay, she gave me that deadpan stare as only a mother can do. You know that stare, that one where it's like, I really want to run and hide, but I'm going to stand my ground. That stare. And she said, Robert, tell me something I don't already know. I was a little taken back. It seemed a little harsh to me at the time that she didn't open the door and make it easier for me to come out to her. But look, her love was absolutely unwavering, and she knew I wouldn't face the same circumstances in the world. And I think through this action, she was actually kind of coaching me and encouraging me to live quite authentically. Look, throughout my career, I've worked at pretty progressive companies, Levi Strauss Company, and now at American Eagle Outfitters. I feel extremely blessed for those circumstances. But I've also chosen to live authentically, and it is a choice. And I've tried to show up with authenticity and courage and integrity, oftentimes under challenging circumstances, in order to pursue what I believe to be my higher purpose in life. And I'll come to that towards the end. I do know that I was asked to speak to you today because I'm one of very few public company CEOs who are openly gay. But as I've said, I think perhaps many of you have faced more discriminating barriers than I've faced as LGBT people. So honestly, I really do believe that each one of you could be up here sharing your story and sharing your journey in my place. So I do honor you. It is the most important thing for having the courage to stand up for equality and justice in business and in life, and importantly, to tell your stories. Because visibility is the key to making the change and the difference in the world. I think personally we're at a really critical time in history, a time when how you choose to show up is really important. To positively influence the course of history, we have to continue to be authentic. We have to live our lives with courage, with authenticity, with honesty, and bring our true selves to work each and every day, and it is not always easy. By doing this, we can really help shape the future of the world through the positive contributions that we make through the world of business and through commerce. You know, for anyone in business, as for me as the CEO of American Eagle Outfitters, it's a requirement to create a business in what I view to be this perfect combination of profits that coexist with principles. That combination is what it's all about, in my view. You know, with demanding shareholders, a demanding board, a fight for the best possible talent that you have to attract and retain, increasingly demanding customers, and the need to do great work in the communities in which we engage, I need to lead the company with unwavering values, but those values have to be applied to drive top-tier shareholder returns. It's this combination again. It's only through that combination of results and behaviors that my shareholders, the board, my employees, our customers will honor my seat at the table. It must be earned, and honestly, it must be retained each and every day. I want to get just a little bit more specific about it just to make the point. In my role, what you have to do is pretty challenging, but it's also really, really clear. You have to drive top-tier shareholder returns. For us, that means 7 to 9% revenue growth, about 12 to 15% earnings growth, and as I said, top-tier returns. In 2012, we had an amazing year, and we blew it out of the park. We had about 11% revenue growth, 51% earnings growth, and drove top-tier returns. But 2013, as for many in our industry, has been a more challenging year. We've delivered strategically. We've got great growth in a number of our initiatives. Our men's business is on track. Our Area Intimates brand is growing. Our e-commerce business is over $500 million this year. We had about 30% growth, or heading for about 30% growth in our factory and international businesses. But our core business here in the United States just hasn't delivered what it should have. We just haven't executed that brand and product-driven customer experience well enough. And honestly, in my role, that's unacceptable. You need to nail it, and you need to earn that seat at the table each and every day. Look, I share this with you not to bore you with sometimes pain and suffering that's inflicted upon me by my board, but just to reinforce the key lesson that I've learned throughout my career in business. It's this idea that profits must coexist with principles. And during the most challenging of times, it's my view that it's even more critical for leaders to really focus on their values, to show up with authenticity, integrity, to have courage, but most importantly, to focus their attention on others and not on themselves. Through this kind of combination, I think I can, you can, I think we all can together work alongside of our colleagues to shape the future of commerce and its positive contributions in the world. Working in corporate America hasn't always been easy. It doesn't remain easy for anybody who chooses to show up authentically, especially from our community. I'll give you a couple of examples of subtle discriminating situations that I've experienced in the workplace, fairly consistently. Probably the most poignant example I can give you, a recent one, because it happens at all levels, regardless of what seat you hold. I was challenged by a powerful mentor of mine. This is somebody I really, really trust and admire, and who was quite generous towards me in helping me advance my career. And he challenged me to be a leader of all employees and not just the LGBT employees. And I was, honestly, I was hurt, I was confused, and I was a bit angered by his challenge. His view was influenced by the fact that I was such an ardent supporter of social equality for all, including LGBT people, and also because of my work in HIV/AIDS. Because of that work, he perceived me as caring only about my gay colleagues, even though, in the case of my HIV/AIDS work in particular, I think that work impacted global, ethnically diverse, and at-risk women and young people as much, or in many cases, more so than the LGBT community specifically. I did uncomfortably question him if he would feel similarly if a leader chose to focus some or all of her or his social and philanthropic work on issues of gender, ethnic, or religious advancement and equality. It's important to ask these questions. It was a very uncomfortable and at times courageous debate with him. But I think through that debate, his knowledge of the issues and his respect for me grew. And I actually developed probably a greater degree of empathy for his perspective and the need to engage with him and help him along his pathway. And that's enabled me to become more of the kind of leader that I am today. This is, kind of one story among many that I could probably share with you over my 27-year career as an out gay man in business. We know it's not always fair. It does require courage. It does require visibility. It mostly, importantly, in business, requires exceptional performance to earn that voice each and every day, and combining that together. And if we do that, we can confront the challenges that we face, excel, and play an equal and important role in shaping the future of commerce with our colleagues. I now lead a company that believes we're here for a bigger reason than ourselves. AEO's core values are great. Inclusive, empowering, fun, put the customer first, do the right thing. Do the right thing. And create opportunity for everybody. I mean, who wouldn't sign up for those kinds of values? They're the foundation of the company. They define who we are and they define how we compete. But it wasn't always the case. When I first got to the company, American Eagle Outfitters only had an 85% score on HRC's Corporate Equality Index. Quite shockingly for me, the company was involved in a litigation settlement with the state of New York as a result of allegations of discrimination for applicants and employees of gender identity. The company didn't engage in any public policy debate for the advancement of LGBT rights. And frankly, we did just too little to advocate for the critical issues that our customers and our employees care about. They expect us to deal with. They actually demand that we're on the right side of history in these debates moving forward. Not just for LGBT people, but for all people today. Things have changed. I've got an amazing group of people that I work with. And we take pride now in providing leadership on a number of equality issues that we hope will pave the way for others to take very strong and very principle-based decisions in support of the issues that our employees and our customers really care about. A couple of examples of those. We've obviously done the right thing by developing a non-discrimination grant-making policy so that none of our corporate giving goes to discriminatory organizations, regardless of the issue. We're engaged in a number of key public policy debates around LGBT and other initiatives. We're now fighting with you in support of marriage equality, federal LGBT tax equity, the Employment Non-Discrimination Act, and importantly, to end the HIV/AIDS travel ban. Now, I want to make a point about this final issue. It's particularly critical for us to address this issue because we have a big partner that runs our business in the Middle East and also in Russia. It's a big business for us. They happen to be based in Kuwait. And if many of you have noticed what's going on in Kuwait and also in Russia and other places, the government in Kuwait has been actively working against the rights of LGBT people as well as those living with HIV/AIDS, and frankly would not be welcoming of me entering the country to engage in a business discussion with our partner in that part of the world. You have to stand up to these things. It's uncomfortable to do it. Our partner happens to have a home right next to the Royal Palace in Kuwait. When I go there for dinner, I'm really close to the epicenter of the discrimination. But you actually have to take on those challenges, even if it's uncomfortable for people, because visibility, showing up authentically, is in the end the one thing that's going to make the biggest difference in our fight for equality, in my view. We obviously now offer transgender benefits to our US employees, and we're focusing on making broad progress on a number of issues, diversity issues, actively addressing the environmental issues facing all of us, and addressing the issues that are most important to our customers, which tend to focus on health and education at this stage in their lives. So we're making progress on a number of issues this year, and although we haven't received HRC's information yet on how we scored on their Corporate Equality Index, my belief is that AEO will score the perfect score, 100, for the first time ever in history. We're excited about that. I want to leave you with one of my favorite quotes from Walter Haas Jr., who was a visionary and leader at my former employer, Levi Strauss Company. This quote truly reached inside of me and helped form who I am as a leader today. He said, I think quite poignantly, that each of us has the capacity to make business not only a source of economic wealth, but also a force for economic and social justice. Each of us, especially those of us in power, have the capacity to define the character of our enterprises so that they nurture values that are important to our society. Only then will business fulfill its obligation to help build an economy worthy of a free society and, frankly, a civilization worth celebrating. Now, I think that just captures it all. In fact, it's influenced me to stay in commerce when I was distracted by a million other things I could have done in my life. It's a compelling belief about the role of commerce and how it can help shape our world and should encourage us, in my opinion, to continue to work together to create this virtuous cycle of principles-based profitability in business. This will enable us to flourish and to create the platform of influence that will persist long after all of us in this room are gone. This is, at its essence, I think, my higher purpose in life. It's how I've chosen to show up each and every day. I think it actually should be our collective higher purpose. It's what's expected of us. It's the right thing to do, and it also happens to be the right thing for business. We like to say one thing at American Eagle Outfitters, which is simply live your life. You guys have been very generous with your time. Thank you for listening.